I think you mentioned about statehood and as far as the District of Columbia, and I didn't realize there was a vote coming up on it. And that vote's what, for a study, for a committee? What's that going on with that?
Yeah, so this vote is a commission, whether they can put D.C. as a state, make District of Columbia state. It's a foregone conclusion that the commission is stacked. Pelosi gets her picks, Schumer gets his picks, the administration gets their picks, and when it's all said and done, you'll have maybe 2 or 3 people on there from our side who are going to say this is crazy, but it's going to be a foregone conclusion. So within a year, before you get to too very long in here, you're going to have an actual vote in the House on making District of Columbia state.
Well, is that all it takes? And I guess I thought there was a lot more to making a state, and I haven't researched it yet. But than just a vote, you just don't vote it in Congress. Isn't there more issues that need to be done first, like a constitution for the state? Maybe, I don't know.
So our argument, is that the 23rd Amendment and also the actual underlying Constitution itself basically suggests, it doesn't say that you have to have a constitutional amendment to change it, but it does define what the federal district is. And so you can't change that. You can give territory back to the states that ceded it, perhaps. That's what happened with Virginia for part of it. But their argument is that we can just do this statutorily because there is no prescription, and every other state comes in by a congressional action, not a constitutional amendment. So that's where the fight's going to be.
But they didn't come in immediately, and they didn't come in just because they wanted to. If I remember right, it was a lot of negotiations for the state of Arizona on what has to be.
No, that's exactly right. And so Arizona came in with New Mexico. So we came in, and so sometimes when we need to get to the bottom of things, the underlying document itself, sometimes we need congressional action to open it up because Arizona and New Mexico want to do something, but because of the terms that we came in together, sometimes you have to go back and open that up, and we've had to do that over the years, over the last 100 years, from time to time. Yeah, there's typically a lot of discussion, negotiation, but people who opposed it for years and years, including Steny Hoyer, including Joe Biden, including the Kennedy family. They are not the Kennedy family, obviously, but these guys are now coming back. Steny Hoyer, Pelosi, Biden, they're all coming in. Why? Because they hope to get 2 senators
right.
In a very closely divided country right now.
Well, yeah, it's like 90% registered Democrat in that area, and that may be an exaggeration, but not far off.
No, you're probably under.
Oh, I'm understating? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so.
Look at the vote in the last election. It was like 94%, I believe, went Democrat.
Yeah, something like that. It was, so Republican staff that may live here permanently, they never, they're always overwhelmed. Always overwhelmed.
So what are we going to do to end systemic racism?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure there is systemic racism.
But you didn't expect that question. Go ahead.
No, I didn't. I look. Here's the thing. If you talk to my friend Burgess Owens from Utah, who actually lived during Jim Crow and talks about being raised in the South during Jim Crow, and what it was like, he says there is no systemic racism. He said we have it so much better off than we've ever had it. Blacks and it's really it is a bad thing, in my opinion, that the Democrats can't do any policy without making it racially invested. So, for instance, they've said that certain freeways and highways are racists, not the people that designed them, but the actual highway itself.
I've heard that.
And we were having a discussion yesterday in one of my committees, and some of the members there, they couldn't talk about anything without bringing in race, and that's so divisive. If I thought the dream was that we look at the content of our character and not the color of our skin, and because we believe each one of us, regardless of the color of your skin, is a child of God and deserving of respect and should be treated equally before the law. And that's really what it's all about. And when you divide us up the way they're dividing us up, it's because it gives the Democrats control and power. That's really what that's about.
It is. And it's ridiculous. And especially the president, Joe Biden, now gets up and I didn't realize he had such disdain for our country, because he's been doing this for 50 years or better in politics. He's never once said it was a problem, and now it seems to be the worst problem that we've got.
It's overriding everything, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's right. He has, but, right now I provide some excuse for Joe Biden, because I don't think that he's running the country. I don't think these are his true feelings.
Right.
I think that he's being run by the oligarchy of Pelosi, his chief of staff, Ron Klain, these guys that are kind of running him. Some of the big donors that sit behind him. I blame him for being so ambitious, and his family for letting him be exploited in this way, because I don't think that he's cognitively responsible.
The filibuster, I know, is going to be something that's discussed a lot about the Senate. And it looks like Kirsten Sinema is holding tough on this thing. It's kind of a surprise to me. And I know you know her. I've talked to her a few times. I don't really know her. But it surprises me that she is dug in. Does that surprise you?
Not at all. This is something that has been a longstanding conviction of hers, is that the filibuster is designed to protect the minority in what she considers to be the most deliberative body in the world, and that's the United States Senate, where you have to try to ameliorate the concerns of the far right, far left, middle. Everybody needs to be able to come together at some point. And so she's always taken the position in my discussions with her about the filibuster, and she's convinced me. She convinced me. So I think she's going to hold strong. Manchin, I'm a little less hopeful, but nonetheless, so far he's held out.
Well, she may have Maxie Waters outside her house threatening her shortly if she doesn't, give in to the pressure.
Well, I would say Maxine is. I mean, there's two ways to go on that. First of all, I think the pressure will increase and be unbelievable on Senator Sinema, but I also think Maxine Waters is absolutely she's crossed all boundaries, and it wasn't just that she violated the curfew rules, Russ.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't need to be censured for that. It isn't just that you were out there basically fomenting rioting and violence. That's bad enough, but the fact that your timing was and your purpose was to intimidate a sitting jury, regardless of the outcome of that trial.
Correct.
Her purpose was to try to influence and intimidate a jury to come back with a verdict that she wanted, and they did ultimately. And yeah. I think someone like that probably needs to be retired from Congress.
Well, and I know you've had your disagreements with her in the past, I think.
Yes, I certainly have. I didn't think she knew who I was, but she actually does, because I've made those differences known publicly and fought her on things. And this is not the first time I have felt that she has crossed the boundaries of decorum, and it's not the first time that I've supported a censure resolution.
Lifelong Democrat Alan Dershowitz has did a great article on it just yesterday, and compared it to the Ku Klux Klan of the 20s and 30s that used to do the same thing and stand outside courthouses and intimidate jurors. So, boy, we have really changed in this country.
I saw that article. I thought he was right on the money. And the point is, getting back to your question about systemic racism, the issue that we have now is this. Everything is being focused. Critical race theory actually teaches this. It's a Marxian dogma of instead of class warfare through economy, but class warfare through race. And so everything is viewed through race. And so as long as we do that, you can't have peace, you can't have freedom, you can't have the equality that we've known and wanted. and you can't have justice and you can't have mercy. And they're basically when they go this way. When I say this, these are the leftists, the neo-fascists, Marxists that are running the country. You prevent us from being the country we can be, which is to try to let everybody have equality.
This is mob justice, is what we've got. This is like the Wild West. It's, it reminds me of those Western movies where the sheriff's the only one standing there saying, "You can't take him out of jail and hang him, boys." We need that guy to stand up. I don't know who that guy is right now. I don't know who the sheriff is. He's going to stand up and say, "You can't do this."
Well, it has to be the townspeople. So just think of two Western movies. I don't want to digress too much, Russ, but in High Noon, that old Gary Cooper movie, the townspeople wouldn't stand up with the sheriff. The sheriff had to stand up on his own. Yeah. But in the movie Rio Bravo, the townspeople stood with the sheriff against the bad guys to try to keep and bring justice to the prisoner that he was holding. So that's where we are right now. We need the people of this country
stand up
to stand up and be counted. Let your voices be heard, and that I think is important. It's not just going to be in the vote in 2022. You got to be talking now because they're trying to move us so far to the left in so quick a fashion. We need help now.
But I don't even know what the left is right now, other than just to create anything but unity, to create disagreement and anger. But Brian Sicknick, the Capitol police officers that died, he died of natural causes, and obviously they knew that. They knew it right away. In fact, one of the family members mentioned that he died of a stroke, which was kind of surprising because I know the family got a lot of money. But we've known for now, and it just now gets publicized after the press beat it up forever that he got hit by a Trump rioter with a fire extinguisher during the insurrection. And this stuff is carried on. And if you compare Maxine's rhetoric to Trump's rhetoric, Trump asked for people to march peacefully and let him hear your voice. And yet he got impeached for that. I mean, the fastest impeachment in history, a rush to impeachment. And Maxine Waters, you guys can't even do a censure.
I know it. To me, it's remarkable how quickly they have consolidated power. I mean, and so the left, you're right. I would say, Russ, you're right on the money on your assessment when you say all they want to do is create division and divide. I view this as their attempt to basically create the vacuum where they create this vacuum of leadership so that the left wing, the neo-fascist Marxist guys that are already there will actually be able to consolidate power. But the other thing that you're right on too is the media is not just complicit. A lot of times we say they're complicit. I mean, they're going along with it. They're not just going along with it. They are advocating it. I thought the CNN stuff with last week that Project Veritas put out was so powerful. What an indictment. What a revelation to what we all knew already, how corrupt and lying the media is.
Well, that's why you can't get on Twitter anymore, which you guys got to do something about that too. All right, this big tech is so powerful now, more powerful than what the media was, and they are picking winners and losers, and if you don't agree, I mean, it's like working with the CCP.
No, that's exactly right. And when you may be more accurate when you say it's like working with the CCP than we'd like to admit, because I think the CCP is really become quite powerful and is throughout our much of the heartland of this country today.
Yeah.
We have to admit that.
There's a lot of Chinese money in this country, and I don't know where that influence has gone or whatever it is, but we know it's there, and it's scary and dangerous.
Yeah, and when you getting back to big tech, they really try to abuse their power in some remarkable ways. So, for instance, in Arizona, I think the number is $3 million that went to Maricopa County elections officials somewhere, somehow, in some way. We're not even sure what yet.
To get people to vote or something, but...
Yeah, right.
What people?
what people and where did and
Yeah.
where and yeah, how was that used? You know, so I'll give you just a scoop. This is a heads up. I haven't even released a press release on this. I'm not taking any donations from big tech.
Good for you.
Any donations from big tech, and it's a small thing. People say, well, you know, that no big deal. It is a big deal because if more of us do it, look, we have 140 corporations or something like that have said they're not going to give to Republicans because we objected to the certification of electors on January 6th.
And you're part of the insurrection now.
Oh, yeah. Well, by the way, that word's been overused. That's now the new word. You know, I mean, racism is you're a racist. Now you're an insurrectionist. Both of those have been so overused. They're meaningless. But the point is, as long as money, you have to have money in politics to run for office to get your message out to campaign. But here's the deal: as long as that as you take that money, they think you're beholden to them, which you're not. I mean, someone told me once, if you can't take their money and tell them no,
yes, you can.
Then you're in the wrong business. You better tell them no. And so we've been trying to tell them no. We've been trying to get them to change. They will not change. And so we just tell them absolutely no. We're not going to take it. And we're just going to keep working with the people who vote, the grassroots of America who make this country great. We have no power here. It's only delegated to us from those who elect us.
Correct.
And the reality is there's not enough people here who understand that very important aspect. You vote for your representatives, and that's who we represent.
Right.
The people who vote for.
Can you get the left to stop changing terminology and everything? My daughter called me and said she needed to borrow some money for infrastructure. I'm like, infrastructure? What the hell are you doing? She couldn't pay her child care bill that week, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's gotten that far, Andy.
It really has. I mean, I just came from a meeting on infrastructure, and I will tell you this. Since everything is now infrastructure, I figure my lunch is infrastructure, and that should go in the next bill.
There you go.
I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous. So just so you know, Russ, we're working on my office and some others are together working on a very narrow, focused transportation bill, which is what you and I would think of. Most people in America think, oh, it's roads and bridges, maybe the airports, maybe some seaports,
sure.
Maybe ports of entry, that need to be hardened and expanded, whatever it may be. We think transportation, the thing that moves people and product throughout the country. And there's so much money floating out there that's been appropriated already. You don't even need to raise taxes. You just need to repurpose some of the money that is floating around, and you could really upgrade our infrastructure and maintain it. And that's something that we're trying to do, a much more focused transportation bill.
Well, you need to, and the infrastructure bill that's out there is what, 5% infrastructure? Everything else is the new Green Deal is now the infrastructure.
Right.
And because the new Green Deal wasn't acceptable in a lot of circles, so they changed it to infrastructure. In fact, a lot of it went over to the infrastructure bill, and now infrastructure sounds so well. That's what we need, infrastructure. So we voted for it, and it's like, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Representative Biggs, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.